devil's breath is real, man.
Eavesdroppin.
Well, hello there, eavesdroppers, and Michelle.
Oh, hello. Yes, that's me. I'm an eavesdropper.
You're eavesdropping to me. No, that can't be right.
I'm eavesdropping.
No, we're not No, you're not an eavesdropper.
I'm not an eavesdropper.
No,
I'm
that
an
can't be
eavesdropper.
right.
I'm an eavesdropping co-host.
You're dropping. You're not dropping.
No, I've dropped the ball. That's what I've done. I've dropped the ball.
What's new? That's what happens. I drop the ball and I no longer mind. I'll just pick it up again. Easy.
I love balls. I'll take any balls you give me.
You'll take as many as you can fit in two hands, won't you?
Yes, I certainly will. And on that note, I'm Michelle.
On the back of the balls convo, it's Michelle. I'm Geordie, she's Michelle, by the way, just in case you're confused.
Yes, and you are listening to Eavesdroppin, the comedy podcast.
Good luck to you.
Thank you for joining us. Yes, good luck. We do wish you luck on this journey. We always go on a journey.
We take you on a journey, and I hope that you'll be rewarded with new information. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's kind of made up, sometimes it's poorly researched, but always done with the best of intentions.
Heart. Heart and soul.
What have you been doing, Michelle? Watching any television? Being excited by anything in real life? What's happening?
Yes, I have. A couple of things. A couple of shout-outs. Shout out to Monique the gardener, who I will say she does listen to us while she's gardening.
That's a good tip, isn't it, people? If you don't know what to do with your hands whilst listening to a podcast,
Get out there in the garden.
you can garden, exactly.
However, poor old Monique, she spiked her eye on a spiky plant. So she's got an awfully terrible, bloodshot eye. So don't laugh too much. Don't become so involved in your podcast that you get a spike in the eye from a spiking.
Is that how it happened? She was laughing.
I believe it was something like that, yes.
Oh.
Yes. Just be careful.
Well, I'm glad that she laughed. Was it us?
I think so. In some ways, I hope yes. In some ways, I hope no. I hope I'm not responsible for her almost blindness from a spike in the eye.
I feel very bad for you, and I'm sorry, Monique the gardener. I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad that you laughed, but then you were
Punished.
penalised for it afterwards. Yeah, sorry about that. I wonder if she was laughing at that episode a few weeks ago that we did where you said she had a slip-on, and I said, what's a slip-on? I think that caused some people to laugh with just feeling probably a bit sorry for how stupid we are. I don't know.
I think we're often quite stupid. But anyway, I also want to give a shout out to Jen the hen. Got in touch and she said, I remember the Bogle Chandler case. She remembers it being splashed all over the news because, you know, Jen's of a different generation. She remembers these things from the 60s.
Yeah, that would have been quite a scandalous news story. I mean, I'd never heard of it, neither had you. And
she'd forgotten all about it until she heard the case and she was like, I remember this. God, she said she could not get it off the front page of the newspaper. And everyone was talking about it, you know, because it had everything. It had sexy scandals, it had sexy scientists, it had mysterious deaths, cheating, secret societies, the lot. So it was splashed all over the papers. And she remembers it. So she said, thank you for covering that story. It brought back memories.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to have brought back some memories, even if they're unpleasant. It's still, because it was a murder, double. No, it wasn't a murder. It was a double killing. It was double death.
It was a double death.
Through misadventure, I suppose. Yes. Through having sex, actually. That's what caused the death, really, when you think about it.
I mean, they were being a little bit naughty. One of them.
Sex and the scandal.
Yes, sexy times in Sydney's scientific community. That's what it was all about.
Yes. Brought back some memories for Jen. I'm glad to hear it, Jen.
Yes. And I have got another last little piece of news.
Oh.
I was talking to a friend in town the other day. They told me about their friend. We'll call him David. He apparently was in Italy and all of a sudden was befriended by these two people who were like, oh, hey, come and have a drink with us. And David's a friendly guy. I know him. He's lovely. And so he was like, oh, yeah, these guys seem nice.
He didn't know them.
No.
Oh.
He was befriended by two randos,
Oh.
and because he was out on his own for some reason. Don't
Whatever.
know the ins and outs of this story properly. Before long, wasn't feeling so good.
Oh.
And then they said to him, hey, so we've run out of money. Have you got any money?
Oh, my God.
And he said, yeah, I've got money. And they're like, oh, have you got a key card? Maybe we go to your bank and you can get some money out for us.
That's what I talked about in my podcast weeks ago.
At the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Devil's breath.
Thank you. Devil's breath.
And he said, yeah, no worries. Went to the cash machine, got out a load of cash for them. They said, what's your PIN number? Oh, it's this. Oh, maybe we should mind your key card for you. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, Jesus.
After he'd come to, they'd obviously taken off. He'd managed to stop his bank account. He went to the bank and said, I've been drugged and basically ripped off. And they said, well, we've got the CCTV footage and
there you are.
You took the money out.
Yeah.
There you are, taking your money out and you're handing them on your key card afterwards.
It's terrible.
And he couldn't get any money back.
No.
It's really insidious.
That is awful. Awful.
It's out there, and I know we haven't talked that much about it since.
No, we haven't.
Because I haven't seen many news reports about it.
To be honest, I think part of me did actually think at the time when we did the episode that it may have even been a little bit of misremembering, a little bit of urban legend.
Hoax.
A little hoaxy, even though I did have many stories that were taken from newspaper reports.
Yeah, it is out there, and I know David. I know him.
Wow.
And he's a lovely guy, but I heard from his good friends that this happened to him. And it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. So just be on your guard, because I think it's probably the most dangerous drug there is. These swindlers are using it for money, but I think it could be used a lot more dangerously against women.
Yes, absolutely.
In a sexual violence. Well, in a non-consensual, but hey, she said yes scenario.
Consensual in the moment because you're on devil's breath.
Yes.
Michelle, how did they get it into his system? They just wafted it about, did they?
He has no idea. He thinks it could have potentially been on the glass of one of the drinks they handed him.
God.
It's that insidious. And apparently it is so fucking dangerous. You can kill someone if you give them too high a dose.
I know.
And also a friend of mine, his girlfriend's Argentinian. Remember you called it scalapina or scopolo something. Scopolo something. Middle-aged moment. The girlfriend said, oh yeah, it's everywhere in Argentina. We grow it. It's our trees. We have those trees.
Yeah.
So it's really common knowledge in Argentina, but in Europe, not so much. And it's really terrifying. He got drugged and robbed, and there's nothing that can be done, and the bank won't give him the money back.
What a cautionary tale. See, this is the thing, and I think I brought it up when we did the episode, and I can't remember what number episode that was, but it would definitely be season 7 early on, early numbers, low numbers.
It was the beginning of this year, I would say February.
So maybe it's 6
months ago.
Number 6, 7, whatever. I remember saying at the time, this will kill our communities because you can't trust a stranger anymore.
No. Well, could you ever?
Well, sometimes you can. I mean, sitting on a tube, that was my story. My first story was a woman was sitting on a tube and this guy came and sat next to her and he had the paper. He had a newspaper. It was on
Wafted the paper. Yeah.
Awful. Devil's breath is real, man.
It is real, and it is fucking scary. I'd say this is the scariest drug in our community, in our society. It literally makes you do whatever they ask of you.
You're so suggestible. Listen,
Yep.
This podcast, it is, I just wish everybody was listening to it because it would save so many people from disaster. We might feel like we're a little behind the curve sometimes. We might feel like we're maybe a little wrong. Or is this real, or is this just fantasy? But actually, it turns out we really are helping people. Don't have sex with people that you're not married to on the banks of a polluted river, you can die, thanks to the Bogle-Chandler case. Don't accept the offer of a random stranger's kindness, because you might get robbed, and worse.
Yes.
Thanks to our Devil's Breath episode.
But how awful that you can't have faith in humanity, that people can't just
I'm not happy about
nice.
it, Michelle. I'm not happy about it. It's a few people, a few rotten eggs are spoiling it for everybody else. Life, that is.
All right, well, let's move on to something a little less dramatic. Have you got any good telerecs?
Well, I did watch all the episodes. Sorry, I watched all the episodes of Legends, starring Steve Coogan, your mate, who you had lunch and dinner with. It was fantastic. I would say if you're looking for something like a gritty Britty to while the days away, or the weeks away, or the months away, while you're waiting for the next series of, what's our favourite show?
Line of Duty.
Line of Duty. Then I would jump on that. And any more recommendations or similar things, please tell me, because I'm desperate for more.
I watched it and I absolutely loved it.
Isn't
thought
it great?
It was fantastic. Yeah. And I didn't really remember the guy with the cleft lip from anything else, but he was wonderful in it.
Isn't it great? Yes. Tom something.
very good.
Tom Burke, I think his name
Tom
is.
Burke, that's it. Yes.
Yeah. He's been in a few things.
I would 100% also agree. That is a fantastic rec. Legends.
Legends is a legend in itself.
Yes. I started watching a couple of things. Jury's out. I watched the first episode of the new Ted Lasso season 4.
Okay.
Didn't love it. I didn't love season 3, so I thought I'd give this a chance. I will keep going when they release the next episode, but I didn't love it. Similarly, there's a new Ricky Gervais animation about cats that's out. I can't remember what it's called. I didn't love that either, and I love Ricky Gervais. And I love cats. So I thought it would be more insightful.
Sometimes it doesn't go together.
I'm on the fence with that one. And I also watched the first episode of the new Bret Easton Ellis series called The Shards, which very much in his whole genre of books and whatnot. It's set in the 80s. It's LA 80s, young people doing lots of drugs, wealthy, privileged. Two of the lead characters are Richard Gere's son and Cindy Crawford's daughter. So we've got all the next generation of kids.
Controversial, seeing as that they were a couple for many years.
Could have been brother and sister.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Richard Gere's. Exactly. Richard Gere, as my mother calls him.
Gere. But actually, I watched the first episode and it's a bit of a horror.
Oh, I thought so, because Easton Ellis, he did American Psycho, right?
Yes, and Less Than Zero was his big first book that did well.
Right.
And actually, the main character in this series is called Bret Ellis. So I think it's a bit of a, what do they call it?
Autobiographical. Memoir.
Well, fictobiography kind of thing.
That's too hard to say. I wouldn't be saying that.
It is. But I really enjoyed the first episode, so I am looking forward to seeing what comes next in The Shards.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Thank you for the television recommendations.
My pleasure.
Trojan True. Trojan True.
Now, Michelle, I don't know about you, but whenever I hear the words wellness cult, I immediately think of some of the cults that we've covered on this podcast before, such as the killer slapping cult, One Taste from You, which was fun. Keith Raniere, of course, is Nixium, which we've done a couple of episodes on, thanks to The Vow, which was that great documentary about it. Now, going back to what we just said before about not being able to trust strangers and society and trust, and also listening to this podcast in advance of just living life, just to be safe, I'm going to look at cults again today. And actually, more than that, celebrities in cults. How do you fancy it?
Well, I'm intrigued because I'm not sure I know of any celebrities more than the ones from Nixium that would even admit to being in a cult.
Well, we've obviously got that awful cult Children of God, which is absolutely horrific, that had the whole of River Phoenix's family in, including Joaquin.
Oh, but that was when they were kids. They were dragged into that.
And Rose McGowan. No, they were born into it.
Yes, okay.
I don't know if they were born into it, but Rose McGowan was,
Right.
until the sex with kids thing came up, and then all of those families kind of just ran away because the Phoenix's dad, do you remember their name was Bottom? You told us that. He was one of the ministers, and I think they just went, oh, I'm not so sure about having sex with kids, we're out.
Yeah.
And of course then it was, I just mentioned him, Ranieri, Nixium. You had Smallville actress Alison Mack, which was probably the worst member because she was recruiting for that sexual blackmail corner of their already mad cult, which was called DOS. And also India Oxenberg, who was right in there up to the end. And her mother was actress Catherine Oxenberg from Dynasty. And she provided some of the more moving moments in the Vow documentary in her quest to rescue her daughter. They're now reconciled, by the way. India provided a lot of the impact statements that got Keith Raniere imprisoned for 120 years eventually.
Good.
But other famous people in cults, another famous acting dynasty, David, Rosanna and Patricia Arquette, were raised in a commune in Virginia called Skymont Subud. Their parents helped establish the community in the hopes of creating a kind of utopia. And this was all based around an Indonesian spiritual movement called Subud.
I do feel like all of these hippy-dippy families who bring their children into these communities where they hope for...
Communities.
Communities.
Yeah, it is.
Itties.
Itty-bitties.
Itty-bitties.
Titties.
Itty-bitty titty committee. I do feel that they all went into it with the best intentions. They were looking for the utopia. They were looking for the dream and to bring their kids up wild and free.
Well, exactly. Well, this particular one was based around an Indonesian spiritual movement called Subud, which the followers would practice something called latihan, which is a form of spontaneous spiritual exercise designed to help people become their true selves, where you'd empty your minds and allow spontaneous physical and vocal movements such as moving around or singing or laughing or dancing to express themselves freely without being in a trance state, which to me sounds like fun. Except life on the commune, it wasn't easy. And Patricia has described growing up without electricity or running water or even proper toilets. Fun for a few days camping. I've just done that. But every day, especially when you're a teenager, no.
No.
I say no.
You need somewhere to put your pads.
Your period debris.
You've got to have your period
bits and
somewhere.
bobs, yes.
When you're growing up, you're self-conscious enough. You do not need a big pit with shit in and all the other stuff in it. You know,
a big pit of shit.
What do you call it? A drop toilet.
You're doing all the rhymes today.
It's not even intentional. Jesus. I do feel that those teenage years, you are so self-conscious of your body. You need some privacy to work out what's going on and what do I do with all of this stuff. And, you know, it's not nice.
Yeah, you don't need to be.
It's not nice to sit. I mean, I like a nature poo. I like a nature wee. We've talked about this before.
We know.
I went to a party once in Spain where they had a drop toilet, but there were so many people at this party that the drop toilet ended up overflowing.
Ew, touching your ass.
Well, there was nowhere else to go, so I had to go on this overflowing pit toilet.
Ew.
And it wasn't a number one. It was terrible.
You made it even higher.
Yes, I did, and I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. What else can you do? And imagine a life of that. No. I say no.
I say no to that. Then there's Glenn Close. Now, she was just 7 years old when her father uprooted the family to Switzerland after joining something called moral rearmament, which is a deeply controlling religious movement that Glenn Close actually calls a cult. It's known today as Initiatives of Change and was criticized for using tactics such as intense peer pressure, public confessions like DOS, and heavy control over followers' personal and sexual lives.
But is it Swiss? Or was it just an arm in Switzerland, like a branch?
A Swiss arm.
A Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army branch.
Yes.
We don't know, and we really don't know. You and I just don't know what the hell's going on right now.
No.
I'd say. We're a bit confused. Itty bitty titties, shitty pits, and Swiss Army manoeuvres. everyone apparently in this cult thought the same, said the same things. There were endless rules, lots of control, and she spent 15 years there before she got out. And she says that the emotional and psychological damage shaped her entire adult life, making intimate relationships really hard.
I never knew this about her. I just thought she was a Hollywood actress who'd had a charmed life, like it all seems like they all do.
That's what you think.
You never know. You never know what really goes on.
Michelle Pfeiffer. She's on this list.
Really? What was her cult?
Well, I'm not counting Scientology, by the way, because then if you counted that as a cult, and please don't come for us, then you'd have
all of Hollywood would be in a cult. Yes.
Well, she first moved, Michelle Pfeiffer, moved to Los Angeles as a young actress, and she fell under the influence of a couple posing as personal trainers, except they weren't really interested in squats and protein shakes. They believed in something called breatharianism, which is a movement that claimed human beings could survive on air and sunlight alone without food, without water. Absolutely ridiculous. They also charged Michelle for endless coaching sessions while encouraging her to spend more and more time with them. And she later described them as incredibly controlling and financially draining. The penny only dropped for her when her husband at the time she had was researching a film about the Moonies, which we've done an episode on before, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, another cult. And while interviewing a former member, she saw the footage and she said, she realized this manipulation just sounded so familiar, felt familiar. She said, it clicked and I realized I was in a cult.
Right. But she'd gotten out by that point, I imagine.
No,
what?
She hadn't. That's when she realized and had to get out. Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you know what? I'm getting vibes here of Mulholland Drive. Do you remember that film?
I never saw it. I've got it on my list ready to go.
It was voted by the BBC some years back as the best movie of all time.
Wow. Well, I'm going to watch it with my husband at some point.
It is one of these Lynchian, wild dream state reality films. What's her name? The Australian actress is in it.
Naomi Watts.
It's her first big role. But actually, I really want to revisit it because I think when you shine a light on what's just happened with all of Epstein's stuff and you put that lens on that movie, it's a whole different movie. And in it, there is this older couple.
Don't give it away because I haven't seen it yet.
No.
Yes.
There's nothing I can say that will give this movie away because this movie, you walk away going, what just happened to me? What just happened to me?
Yeah.
What just happened to this film? But there's an old couple in there who seem lovely, but they're not. When you just said this about Michelle Pfeiffer, I thought, oh my God, maybe this whole Lynchian Mulholland Drive was based on something that was going on in the Hollywood community because it is very much a film, obviously, about Hollywood. I would love to watch it again. I've got to just kind of prep myself for watching it because it's quite an intense film. But it's a wreck. It's definitely a wreck.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you've said that. I'd like to see it. So this brings me on to another actor who most people will know as Gilly from Game of Thrones. It's Hannah Murray. She's British. And she, after Game of Thrones...
Which one was she?
The one that Samwell Tarly rescued, then she had a baby, and then they were together till the end. No spoilers.
Aha.
He rescued her from her family. Yes. I'll tell more about that later because it's poignant.
Okay.
But she became entangled with a charismatic spiritual leader who convinced her that she had a cosmic purpose. And before too long, she believed she was destined to rule the universe alongside him and travel through different dimensions. This is from an extraordinary story that she told in her memoir, The Make-Believe, A Memoir of Magic and Madness, published earlier this year in 2026. Now, this book describes her journey into manipulation via psychosis and tells how easy it is for intelligent, thoughtful people to be pulled into believing the unbelievable.
Wow. I'm not surprised by this because, as I always say, you can have smart people who are in a weird moment in their life and they are vulnerable, perhaps a little lost, and they get drawn into something that perhaps if they had been in a different period of their life they might not have been drawn into. It's terrifying. I think essentially they're con men and women.
I would say so. Yeah, con people.
And they are preying upon people who maybe just want to be liked. Maybe they're people pleasers. Maybe they're yes people. Maybe they're vulnerable, and suddenly they give away their trust and it's all over.
And unlike your friend David, well, very like your friend David, actually, and unfortunately also for Hannah, neither of them were eavesdroppers at that time. So they missed all the previous episodes on parasites like Keith Raniere.
Yeah.
And if she had listened, even if she had, it probably wouldn't have helped. And let me tell you what I know about her story. Mm-hmm. She first shot to fame in 2007, and she was just 17 years old, playing Cassie Ainsworth in Skins. Now, I never watched that. My kids loved it. Did you watch that?
No, but I remember there was a gorgeous girl. I mean, that show launched the careers of so many young British actors.
So many.
Yeah. But she was Cassie, was she?
Well, Cassie was a fave.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the dreamy, vulnerable, quirky, heartbreaking one because, you know, I think she had maybe some, I don't know, some sort of tragic backstory, and it made her an overnight star. And despite her success, Hannah had never been chasing fame. She grew up in Bristol and landed the part of Cassie after an open audition with no professional acting experience at all. And then suddenly she finds herself fronting one of Britain's biggest teen dramas before she'd even finished school.
Wow. I'm just looking at pictures of her and I don't recognise her at all. But I can see why she's cast, because she's got that thing about her, I would say.
Well, after Skins, instead of going out to Hollywood and carrying on, she studied English at Queen's College in Cambridge, which is quite prestigious. And over the next decade, her career steadily grew, and she appeared in films like Bridge End, where she won a Best Actress award for her performance. Charlie Says, about Charles Manson followers, bit of foreshadowing there. And Detroit, Catherine Bigelow's harrowing film about the 1967 Detroit riots. And of course, millions of people around the world knew her for Game of Thrones. She appeared in all 5 seasons. She was a fan favourite, and she was doing all those little side quests with her on-screen protector, Samwell Tarly, who was best friend at the wall of Jon Snow, if you've seen it, if you care. Which is more foreshadowing when you remember her origin story as the daughter/wife of Craster at Craster's Keep just by the wall, and all the male babies that his incestuous little coven produced were all then given as a sacrifice to the White Walkers. And that is how Samwell Tarly rescued her, stopped her from sacrificing her baby, took her and the baby on the run with them.
Yes, that is ringing bells, that storyline. Yes, and I do remember her. Yep.
What a life for Hannah. Successful career, award-winning performances, international premieres on red carpets. She had it all. But of course, behind the scenes, Hannah says she was deeply unhappy. She said that being an actor constantly made you feel like you're only as good as your last job.
Yeah.
You'd flip from main character to auditions, being judged on how attractive or funny or thin you are, whatever they're looking for. She said there were endless comments about her appearance, and she's young.
Yeah, but that's the game. That's the world of being an actor. I don't think it's a healthy environment for people. And also...
Well, clearly not.
You have to pretend. You're a pretender when you're an actor.
And there's no off switch, I suppose, either, unless you're with family and friends. She'd have to field questions from journalists asking her whether she was actually anorexic because she played Cassie. So I'm assuming she had disordered eating, her character. And then there were the directors telling her exactly how much of her body she had to expose on camera, and casting directors telling her to make herself look prettier because producers needed to believe someone like Benedict Cumberbatch would fancy her.
That's just nasty. And I don't believe it's probably got any better in Hollywood.
Unfortunately.
No.
And then there were the fans, Michelle, who were mostly lovely, but some weren't. She actually describes in her memoir grown adults throwing tantrums if she refused a selfie or an autograph.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. But also too, she probably was coming into fame right at the time when trolling was a really big thing. I mean, it still is, but there was a lot of news articles about this, 10 years ago, online trolling, and maybe she got hit with that.
People expecting things, and if you don't deliver, you get screamed at. Well, after a while of this constant judgment, the pressure to look a certain way or be a certain way, the uncertainty of her career, it all piled on top of her. And then there was the lifestyle, heavy drinking, smoking, drugs, and casual sex, which all became a coping mechanism for her. At one point, she even admits to sleeping with a stranger purely because he looked a bit like Kurt Cobain.
Oh my God. All right. Her judgment's out the window.
She said, looking back, she was desperately searching for something that would finally make her feel special. Because getting cast in a film definitely made her feel that way, but that only lasted until filming finished. Then she'd be on to the next role and the next, and the whole cycle would have to repeat itself. She said it was like being trapped on a hamster wheel and constantly searching for something permanent to fill a hole that she couldn't quite describe or explain. So she reached for the self-help books and meditation, supported by therapy, but that still didn't quite do the job for her. Then it was 2017, so this is 10 years after she first started acting, and she was cast in the film Detroit, the Catherine Bigelow directed thing I was telling you about earlier. Now, I haven't seen it, have you?
No, I have not.
It's apparently quite a difficult watch, Michelle. It's based on a true story of 3 black teenagers who were murdered during the 1967 Detroit uprising, something I've never heard about. Pin that for maybe a future episode. Hannah played Julianne, who is an 18-year-old white woman who is violently interrogated and sexually assaulted by police officers in the film. I don't know if she's based on fact or fiction. I don't know. But to prepare for the role, she had to be very, very thin, and she would have to physically exhaust herself before emotional scenes. She was working with an acting coach who would encourage her to become completely emotionally open. So it took its toll. And then there was this particular scene where her dress is ripped open and her boobs are exposed. And that had to be filmed over and over and over again, take after take.
God.
Every time her heart was racing and her body was flooded with adrenaline, even though she knew it wasn't real, her nervous system didn't get the memo, Michelle. She says that after filming, she was plagued by nightmares where she'd wake up and run to the bathroom and throw up in the night.
Oh, this is awful.
So it really took its toll on her.
Yeah.
She was emotionally exhausted, and while she was filming this movie, someone introduced her to an energy healer called Grace.
Okay, sounds so good.
Sounds good, but because that recommendation came through someone working on the production, Hannah assumed Grace was trustworthy. She didn't really do her due diligence, I suppose. So they began working together. Well, Hannah felt Grace was really listening to her as she poured out all her fears and her family background and the pressure, the loneliness of life as an actor, plus the current trauma she was experiencing from filming, and she was there for her. She also offered Hannah Reiki, and she said she could also provide something much deeper if she liked. And this was something for people who really wanted to sort their shit out.
Okay.
Something particular.
All right.
Well, of course, she sold it in a way that really piqued Hannah's interest. She was looking and looking anyway at that time. So she paid $150 for her first healing session. And during that session, Grace was talking about energy and light and spiritual DNA and ancient wisdom. It really was ticking boxes for Hannah. She said, looking back, it sounds ridiculous, but she was emotionally vulnerable and exhausted at this time. It's actually possible that Hannah was already in the early stages of what would later be diagnosed as bipolar disorder as well, Michelle.
Okay, interesting.
So instead of questioning the inconsistencies that did inevitably pop up for Hannah, she ignored them because that first session just left her feeling euphoric. She slept for 14 hours straight. And then also Grace handed her a small bottle of something mysterious, some drops of some kind. Hannah now thinks they were probably just expensive water. And then she introduced her to someone in London called Siobhan because she was going back to the UK. And once she was there, Hannah met Siobhan, who seemed like a kind and sincere person. And Hannah had no reason to doubt these healers she was meeting, that they had any other intention apart from providing her relief from her issues. And that's what she was getting. So why question it? Why look deeper?
I understand it. I understand. You know, you've been given a recommendation. It seems to be working. You slept well. You feel good. The sessions were euphoric. You're no longer there, so they recommend someone else. I probably might not have looked too deeply either.
Makes sense. Also innocuous, right? Siobhan brought Hannah to classes in the UK, teaching rituals, energy protection, talked about spiritual guides and magic circles, things that I'm quite interested in actually. Chakras, Kabbalah, how do you say it? Kabbalah, shamanic practices and hidden knowledge. Now, this first course cost Hannah £700, and there would be many more because like Nixium and our little friend Keith Raniere in his executive coaching platform, aka Cult, every course unlocked another course. Every answer generated more questions, and every payment promised deeper understanding. So it was almost like delivering just enough, holding back a bit, just so it would pique your interest and you'd go for it. This is textbook cult control system.
Yeah, it is.
But Hannah didn't recognize it because she's not an eavesdropper. And also, she had a theory that because she grew up in the Harry Potter generation, where, like many of her age group, she'd kind of grown up secretly hoping there was another world behind, you know, the station, and beneath your ordinary world there is magic, and maybe it really is real, you know. And perhaps the slightly odd kid wasn't odd after all, just secretly special, like Harry.
Dangerous way to bring up a generation.
Well, especially if there's undiagnosed mental health issues as well. But for this organisation, they quietly fed that fantasy for Hannah, and eventually she met its leader, a man she simply calls Steve, because she won't publicly reveal his identity.
Does he keep you awake at night?
What a cult.
Are you a child bride?
What a cult.
If he moves you to Guyana, tell him I don't wanna. Oh, baby, it's a cult.
It's a cult. What a cult.
You're in a cult.
Steve, he wore a symbolic necklace. He carried around an oversized Starbucks cup and greeted followers with long, intimate hugs, much like, again, Keith Raniere. Makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
But when Hannah first met him, she said she immediately believed she was standing in front of someone incredible because Steve radiated confidence and power, and Hannah felt she was in the presence of a magician or a god.
Or a con man.
Or, well, she didn't realise that. That didn't cross her mind, unfortunately. I wish it had. So he announced he was in London to initiate the new Celtic shamans. And as most of the organisation's teachers were women, Steve's presence dominated every room. Everyone's like, oh, Steve's here. Look, there's Steve. You know, probably excited to see big, hot Steve.
With his oversized Starbucks cup.
It's a bit ridiculous. He might be short and fat and balding. I don't know, but I'm imagining he's quite the wow, as my husband would say. Even when he was being creepy, though, he didn't come off as creepy because, you know, he'd do things like stand in front of the full room of women and start with a joke about preferring sex to exercise. All right, Dad.
Oh.
Gross.
Ew. The thing is, when you are looking at somebody through a veil or a lens of,
He's so great.
My God, he's so amazing, you overlook the red flags.
Yeah.
You overlook the creepy comments and you just think, oh, he's so good.
Yeah, how
So
great.
great. Oh, he's a little bit hot, isn't he?
Well, Hannah actually believes that that's a deliberate thing. The sexual energy surrounding him and the organisation, even if nothing overtly happened to her personally. But she did start to notice that the women, they'd stopped wearing trousers and started wearing skirts and things like that.
Yeah.
And Steve had this way of knowing exactly how to make people feel really special and dependent at the same time.
Oh, what a skill.
What a skill. And the higher you climbed the ranks of this organisation, the more expensive everything became. Members were encouraged to become ritual masters through increasingly advanced and expensive courses. And Hannah wanted to keep progressing. Of course she did.
Yeah.
But it's a shame she never Googled the organisation.
I mean, it doesn't take much to give it a little Google just to see, just a little Reddit. Just a little Reddit read.
Just a little Reddit.
Could have maybe revealed something.
You don't have to believe them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go deeper. Because if she had, she might have seen all the allegations from former members describing financial exploitation and manipulation and pyramid schemes. But instead, she kept climbing the ranks and paying the dough. But then there was a 5-day retreat in London where Hannah experienced a severe mental health crisis, which resulted in a breakdown. While she was experiencing this, the people at the retreat basically didn't help her. They didn't help her in the way that she needed, which was medical help. Instead, the group leaders all stood around her while she's on the ground, freaking out, saying, "Begone, evil spirit," in Hannah, and viewed her distress as a spiritual battle rather than a psychiatric emergency. It was so damaging. I couldn't believe it when I heard this. And eventually, though, because it must have been bad, emergency services were called and she was admitted to hospital. But even when she was there, she didn't know that she was in a psychiatric ward. She thought she was at a palace. She was really delusional at this point. Then this poor guy comes in, a black guy, comes in with his blue regulation
scrubs
outfit and everything. She thought it was Steve disguised by magic, and she ran up and tried to kiss him.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. She's so far gone.
Luckily, he stopped her very gently. At that point, she now recognizes that as her bipolar disorder, which came later, the diagnosis, which is defined by extreme shifts in mood and energy and activity levels, and goes between emotional highs or mania to lows, which can be quite, like a lot of depression. So she feels that she was at her height when this is going on. She also felt at this point she no longer needed to eat. She felt that she, like Michelle Pfeiffer, could exist on light only.
I mean, she must have been fed that line at some point, light in spirit, light in body, light.
It must have come from somewhere. DNA, spiritual DNA, and blah, blah, blah. And then she started to drink her own wee because she thought that was part of an advanced magical ritual.
Wow.
That would sustain her forever.
I mean, we've done stories on this too. It does sound like she had some kind of psychotic break, didn't get the help she needed, and she was spiraling further and further down. Yeah. Poor girl.
Absolutely. So at this point, she is sitting in a hospital room, drinking her own wee, living on air.
Trying to kiss strangers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, living on air, piss and spiritual energy.
Yep.
She was in hospital for 28 days. And eventually, really slowly though, reality began to creep back for Hannah. Her family and friends would visit, and after a while, hospital staff returned her mobile phone. She later said that getting her mobile phone back felt like opening a window. She said that reality was kind of breaking through at this point, going through the fantasy, and she began to suddenly question Steve for the first time. So she picked up her phone and she texted him saying something along the lines of, "What the fuck has happened to me?"
Yeah.
And his response was fairly dismissive. He said, "Well, if I run an evil cult, then I must be the worst cult leader in history." He insisted he didn't control people's sleep, their food intake, or their lives, nor was he anyone's guru. But luckily for Hannah, the spell had begun to break. And then when she was finally discharged from hospital, she wasn't necessarily recovered, but she was less psychotic than when she went in. So then there was a long recovery period for her.
Yeah.
But nowadays, she no longer acts, and she's 36 years old, and she lives a much quieter life, not in London. And she's really grateful that she doesn't act anymore, nor does she drink or smoke, or even, Michelle, does she meditate. She stays as far away from anything linked to wellness as possible, including yoga classes if they become too spiritually focused.
Yeah, okay. I can imagine that, because she's had a really bad experience and she doesn't want to open the door, not even a crack. And anything like that for her is a crack.
Absolutely. She knows that things can be very seductive when they promise healing and you're vulnerable. And she knows she's still vulnerable. So she's keeping far away from that. And fair enough. It's like an alcoholic staying out of pubs, I suppose.
Yeah.
So ultimately, her memoir, it's not really about exposing the cult, because she doesn't talk about what they're called or who Steve is or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more the mindset that made her vulnerable in the first place.
But she's obviously come out the other end. She's grateful for her life and that she has seen a different way and has got clarity on some stuff that was fucking her up. So good for her. And I hope that perhaps her story will help other vulnerable people not fall down that rabbit hole. But it's easy. Smart people get sucked in.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And I guess her story, using her story, I mean, you could say, well, now she's written a book about it and she's not naming it. Did she just make it up? Well, no, I doubt it. I think in a way her fame, and particularly the fame of the people her age group, like the Skins generation, the Game of Thrones generation, would be helping, because people would want to know what happened to Gilly from Game of Thrones or Cassie from Skins. Let's read the book And then they can find out that this can happen to anybody. She believes it can, and we know it can. Even though most of us like to think we could spot a cult a mile away, and very few people join something thinking that it's a cult. Of course they don't. They think that it's whatever it is, it's going to help them. So that's why I guess the book is helpful. And thank you, Hannah. We are glad that you are through the other side. And if you do want to become an eavesdropper, Hannah, we welcome you to the ranks. To the ranks. We'll give you shout outs. Although if you don't want that either, you can remain anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, we always say nobody sets out to join a cult. And the reason why people do things in the first place is in the hope that they will feel better.
Of course.
So there's no shade in searching for something that will give you relief or peace.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, you got to be so careful who you put your trust in.
Mm-hmm.
So, it can all go badly wrong. Thanks for that story. Really, really interesting. I didn't know about Glenn Close or Michelle Pfeiffer or even actually the Arquettes. I had no clue.
Yeah, neither did I. I bet there's a bunch more as well. And like I said, if you count Scientology, there's many, many more.
Oh, well, it's all of Hollywood. Oh, fantastic. Well, that was a cult that wasn't a cult.
Well, it is a cult, but we just don't know what it's called.
No. I wonder if we can dig and find.
Oh, Michelle, you are naughty.
Well, do you know what? I bet you we've got a couple of eavesdroppers, a.k.a. Charlene Happy Chappy, who has an even darker subscription to the dark web than me. Maybe she can find it. Maybe she can find out what this cult's called. Get in touch.
She's one of the monitors on there. What do you call them? The invigilators on the dark web, probably. She knows so much. Yes, all of our community, they do help us. And you know where they meet and greet, Michelle, don't you? It's over on Patreon. Yes. That's where all our lovely community meet up and say, oh, hi, I'm Janneke from Amsterdam. Oh, hi, I'm Charlene Happy Chappy. Pleased to meet you. Hi, I'm Cal the Pal. Although I don't think he has a subscription to the Patreon account. Never mind, Cal. There's always time. And there's time for you too if you've just joined us or if you're interested or if you'd like a little bit more. Every month you get an extra episode plus lots of links. All the links and all the television recommendations all are stored over there. You only have to pop a little bit of copper in our slotter.
Okay, that's better than slot. Slot just,
I
don't know. It's a bit much for me, slot.
Pop a note in the slot.
Pop a note in the, no, it's slot. Slot is the.
No, it doesn't work.
No, I don't like this. It's the slot. I don't know why.
Give us your money.
Yeah.
That's all I should say then.
Just a bit of patronage. Spare
any change? I'm standing here with one of those buckets shaking it. Michelle's behind me strumming away on a mandolin.
Ukulele.
And we're dancing. We're dancing for you.
Exactly.
We are dancing a merry dance, begging you.
Yes.
Not really begging.
No. But we love our patrons and we do appreciate everyone who supports us. So thank you.
Of course we do.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, Michelle, that is it this week, except that I can leave you with a couple of bits of Victorian slang that I found on Instagram if you'd like to hear more. I have given you some in the past.
You have? Okay. Lay it on me.
Would you like to know what butter upon bacon means?
Oh, God, what?
She's doing too much.
What?
She's just doing too much, Michelle. It's a bit like you. You're butter upon bacon.
You're doing
too much.
Butter upon bacon.
You're doing too many things at once, yes. Butter upon bacon is probably a bit of overload.
It is an overload and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that I've been known to do in the past is mathicking. That's getting wildly rowdy in the streets.
Oh, I think we've all done that.
Don't do it anymore.
No, in our younger years.
No more mathicking for me.
No.
My favourite this week is muffin walloper. It's an idle person sitting at home eating cakes and gossiping instead of cooking. Get back to the stove, you muffin walloper.
Well, that sounds like my life of dreams. That's my dream life.
You aim to be a muffin walloper.
Yeah, doing nothing except gossiping and eating cakes. It sounds quite good.
Well, there you have it. Let's bring some of those back into general usage. And I'm afraid that's all we've got this week. All we can ask is that you either tune in to Patreon for a little extra or come back next week where you'll find us. Yeah, every week for 5 years. Hundreds of back catalogue episodes there for you to sift through. If you like cults, go over to the website, type in cults, you'll find it.
And we've got lots of exciting things coming up too. So keep coming back every week.
Press the button that says you'll come back for more, whatever that is. Hit follow, hit like,
subscribe.
hit subscribe.
Yes, do all that stuff.
All of that.
Give us a review because that helps other people find us. And we do appreciate it.
Please do. Thanks, guys. A little call to action as we say our farewells, which are...
Well, the 3 things we always say. Wherever you are.
Whatever you do.
Just
keep
eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping.
Dropping.
Eavesdropping.